Central American caravans advance amid shifting border policies. Mexico News Al Jazeera. Thousands head north, some obtaining humanitarian visas in Mexico, while others fear USS remain in Mexico policy. Tapachula, Mexico. The church bells were chiming at 3 a.m., but Juan Alberto Orellana was already awake. He and the central plaza was abuzz with activity as people got up from their pieces of cardboard, blankets, and patches of dirt and concrete. For the hundreds of, like most people, everything Orellana brought with him fitted into a small backpack. He left home on people. Orellana joined the roughly 2,000 migrants and refugees leaving Tapachula on foot. Many hope to make. Tens of thousands of Central Americans have fled over the past 4 months in a series of highly visible large groups called caravans. The the group that set out on Sunday from Tapachula was part of the latest wave of the ongoing exodus. A caravan left during the second half of January. Migrants and refugees benefited from a temporary special policy established by the Mexican government, under a new administration that took power on December 1. The government has been, between January 15 and 29, Mexican officials processed 15,552 humanitarian visa requests at the border. The national most of the 2,000 Central Americans who departed from Tapachula on Sunday had obtained humanitarian visas. For many of them, migrants and refugees spread out for kilometers along the highway a few hours into the walk, taking breaks in the shade of mango trees. Eventually, Alvarado left home in a remote rural area of the Santa Barbara department of Honduras more than 2 weeks ago with her husband and their 8-year-old son. She and her husband, like many Central Americans who have been issued humanitarian visas, Alvarado and her family are planning on staying in Mexico. But they have no say. Alvarado's family and another family with young children were dropped off at the highway turn-off to Huixtla by a passing pickup truck driver. Alvarado's son, the family does not have to worry about immigration checkpoints because they have humanitarian visas. But not everyone. Akenia Marisol Alvarado, Central American Caravan Participant tab. Central Americans were still streaming to the Tecánuman border crossing and many are still stuck in limbo, while others have crossed into Mexico without processing. Further north, when waves of Hondurans and Salvadorans began arriving at the border between Guatemala and Mexico in mid-January, there was initially an immense amount of mistrust regarding the Mexican government's promises of visas. For years, Mexico has been deporting more Central Americans than the U.S. Past experience. Mexican immigration officials set up in the capital city stadium serving as a migrant and refugee shelter and once again offered humanitarian visas to only those part of the group. As of Sunday,
raindrop, truck top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park.